Well, norms have been relaxed in Karnataka. The state government announces relaxation in COVID norms. Night curfew has been lifted from January 31st. COVID curbs have been relaxed and the night curfew has also been lifted from 31st in Karnataka. Eateries are allowed to open at 100% and physical classes to start for standard 1st to 9th. Let me go across to my colleague Neha, who's joining me on the broadcast. Neha, take us through the latest relaxations announced by the state government.
Well, Charlene, yes, the government announced some relaxations for the people of the state today and said that we hope that the people would, in fact, now heave a sigh of relief. Let's tell you that the night curfew has been lifted starting 31st of this month. And most importantly, schools, in fact, are now going to be allowed to remain open. Classes 1 to 9, which was earlier shut, in fact, have now been permitted to stay open. So physical classes would resume. That apart, there's definitely a huge relief here coming in for the eateries and, for the hotels, for the pubs, and also for other restaurants as well. As 100% capacity has been allowed, seating capacity. As far as office spaces are concerned, offices too have been now allowed to operate at 100% as opposed to the 50% earlier. And lastly, of course, with regard to the marriages, we're seeing that the government has allowed for an increase of 100 people in attendance, both in open as well as in closed spaces. So what was earlier 200 people in closed spaces has now been allowed for in open spaces has now been allowed for 300, and what was earlier about 100 people in closed spaces has now been allowed for 200. So yes, on the whole, while the government has announced these relaxations, it's important that they've also sounded a caution over here for people to ensure that they follow COVID appropriate behavior even as they are stepping out. Now, one important aspect of this, Charlene, is that even as schools have been allowed to now open, the government has put a rider here that says that, if at all there are positive cases coming in from any classroom, then those students would, in fact, have to possibly be isolated, or, those students would not be allowed to attend classes for the period that things get better. So we'll really have to, of course, now only hope that all of this is enforced properly on ground. Back to you.
Neha, just one more thing. So just yesterday we carried, we showed how the government held a COVID review meeting with all the southern states, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, because essentially those are the primarily states of concern. So how do you read this? Any reaction from the government in terms of things opening up, things being relaxed while southern states still remain a concern?
Yes, Charlene, it's important here to note that while there was a concerning trend of cases being reported from Karnataka, we saw the positivity rate also of Bengaluru city going up to 32%. Now that it has come down to about 19%, the government too has factored in, of course, all of the experts' opinions over here and then taken a conscious decision on this. Let's tell you that yesterday at the meeting also of the Union Health Minister with all of the states, it was in fact, decided that some relaxations possibly should be allowed. Now, even as we're talking about other southern states, let's tell you that Karnataka government has not relaxed the RT-PCR report of people coming
Neha,
in or of arrivals from, in fact, Goa,
right
Maharashtra and Kerala.
Right, Neha, just apologies. We'll straight cut across to the Karnataka minister, in fact, who is right now speaking on this very topic.
For marriages, earlier it was 200 in open space and 100 in the halls. Now it has been made as 300 in the open space and 100 in the 200 in the halls. All puja sevas which will be conducted in the temples have been allowed, and bars, pubs, etc. have been allowed. In even hotels have been allowed. Some restrictions in swimming pool and gym will be continued with 50% capacity. And no procession, no jatras, or no political congregations, all are banned. Run only with the 50% of the capacity. And government offices will be 100%. Swimming pools and gyms at 50% capacity. Sport complex and stadiums are loaded with 50% capacity. Intensive surveillance at the border of Maharashtra Kerala will continue. Thank you.
So that was Karnataka Minister B.C. Nagesh there talking about the relaxations in the state of Karnataka. As my colleague Neha was pointing out, that night curfew has been listed. This as the positivity rate, especially in Bengaluru, has now come down to 19%. Thank you so much, Neha, for joining us with all those details.